Do not rush yourself to get married, okay? People love to hit people with the insult like, oh my God, like your best years are going, you're never gonna get married, you're never gonna find a husband. Stop it. There's always a crackhead out there for somebody. There's always someone with low enough self-esteem, lonely, whose their parents left them a house. There's always somebody that's desperate enough for a green card. Stop it. You don't know me. I can get married at least 3 or 4 times. Trust me, I know where to find them.
The craziest thing that ever happened to me was when I turned 25 and that frontal lobe developed.
I got married at 23, technically 22, and I swear once that frontal lobe kicked in, I was like, I'm a child bride. Who is this man that I'm with? We're still together because luckily fate was on our side, but that could have been really bad.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about the young divorcees, okay? A lot of women are raised to dream about their wedding and being proposed to, and there's so many pick-me-shas out here doing anything to have a man, but what happens on the other side of the fence? What happens to the women that get married young, married to their high school sweethearts, married right after college? When they hit 25, a lot of them are changing in their body chemistry, their thought process, their psychology, and a lot of them are waking up and realizing, like, oh my God, I made a mistake. I cannot be with this man for the rest of my life. Let's get into some TikTok takes on women experiencing the big change and how they've gone about life since.
One of the most interesting parts about getting divorced young is that all of a sudden, all of these people that you thought were happily married start coming out of the woodwork and they're like, hey, how did you know it was time? Hey, what was your breaking point? Hey, what advice would you give me? And I love that. It's like all of a sudden, all of the secrets and like the weird pretending that you're happy falls aside, and fucking love that. Yes, come to me. I will be your emotional support divorce doula anytime you need.
So why do we say that you're not fully mature until the age of 25? That is because the brain, or the frontal lobe, matures at the age of 25. And what the frontal lobe is really important for are higher levels of cognitive functions, such as inhibition, memory, self-control, and self-expression. You can see loss of frontal lobe function in some elderly patients that develop frontal lobe dementia, and so their behaviors can be wild and erratic. If you're making any big decisions under the age of 25, you might want to listen to other input, maybe from your parents or older siblings or friends who might have some other thoughts.
I was married at 20 and divorced at 23. Here are my thoughts. For context, I am now 27. The biggest takeaway that I got from being married so young and then divorcing so young is that you should not legally be allowed to get married before your frontal lobe fully develops. When you're 20, you are an adult, right, in the eyes of society. And so you try really hard to almost like display yourself as an adult while still understanding that you're young, but deep down, you literally still feel like you're 16 years old. I wasn't even legally allowed to drink at my own wedding, and there I was, making a contractual agreement, supposedly in the eyes of God for the rest of my life, to be bound to another person, spiritually, and also in the eyes of the law and the IRS. Now, I'm not trying to say that every 20-year-old about to get married, possibly even watching this video right now, is as dumb as I was when I was 20. But I can say this. Being 20 is not the rest of your life. When you are 20, whether you realize it or not, you can disagree with me, that's fine. You're wrong. You are still very influenced by the way that you were brought up as a child. You have no original thoughts in your head. Your opinions are your family's opinions. You've not yet seen the world. You have not yet articulated things for yourself and defined things for yourself as an individual in the world away from your family. The lobe thing that I mentioned earlier was some real shit though. After I turned 25, it was just this switch, this little light bulb just went off in my head, and it was kind of like a second coming of consciousness moment in a way. You know that meme that went viral where it was like you as a kid having that one moment where you kind of just like wake up and you're like, oh wow, I'm an individual in this world. I don't know, I just woke up one day when I was 25 and thought to myself, I really need to just like slow down a little bit. I need to cool my jets. Life is short, but at the same time, it's still so long. And if you have that person in your life right now where you're like, I'm 20, I don't give a shit, this is the love of my life, I know for a fact, that's fine. But you don't have to marry them in order to know that for yourself.
I think she's absolutely right. Like, for the most part, we are just extensions of our family and our parents up until a certain point. And then it's like the mental umbilical cord kind of detaches. And you're kind of like, okay, maybe I don't agree with their political view. What do I really think about religion? Or okay, why am I friends with this person? What's really the glue? Like, what's the actual friendship? Is it just we like the same color? Like, it just really makes you think. And those are things that are hard to explain or describe to people that haven't reached that point yet. But unfortunately, when they do life changing like decisions like kids, marriage, tattoos, felonies and stuff like that, it's hard to come back from that once you've had the awakening. So it's almost better to have the awakening and then make the decision, you know?
What age do you think is a smart age to get married with respect to you being a divorce lawyer, having seen when people get divorced?
So it's interesting, as a divorce lawyer, I have maybe a different perspective because I got married very young and it all worked out, and it's 30 years later and it's all good. As a divorce lawyer, the younger people are getting married, the more difficult it seems to be. I think a lot of young people don't know each other as well, maybe not mature enough. And we find that into your 30s, it seems like it's a much better, possibly, time to get married.
The pain of marrying the wrong person is worse than your present fear of not getting married before the age of 30. Just saying.
I wanted to be a wife at 25. I wanted to have kids at 25. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, that 25-year-old Braylon did not bring a baby girl into this world or get married and traumatize her husband more. Like, no, you were not ready to be a wife. So the older I get, the better I get, because I'm choosing to do the work and not sit in it. I commend myself for that.
Okay, I am so young. I just got married really young. And just like a life tip for all my besties on here, don't get married before your prefrontal cortex is developed, because you will change immensely in your early 20s. And there's a very high chance that your significant other will change as well, and maybe you won't change in the same ways. And it's very complicated. So let me know if y'all want to know more. I have lots of stories and lots of tips.
That's also another point too that I wanted to mention. On top of the fact that the females are individually going through their own thing and finding who they are, the guys are doing the same thing too. Maybe not at the same rate. Now, it may not be the same way, but they're also learning who they are too. And then you have to hope that whoever y'all become to be can both coexist as a couple. And that doesn't happen a lot of times.
All I know, you could be Batman!
I am not Batman. I'm Batman.
Do not rush yourself to get married, okay? People love to hit people with the insult like, oh my God, like your best years are going, you're never gonna get married, you're never gonna find a husband. Stop it. There's always a crackhead out there for somebody. There's always someone with low enough self-esteem, lonely, whose their parents left them a house. There's always somebody that's desperate enough for a green card. Stop it. You don't know me. I can get married at least 3 or 4 times. Trust me. I know where to find them.
Every young woman's goal is to meet someone. They're all like, I want to meet someone, I'm going to meet a guy.
It is because we live in a patriarchal society that needs women to buy into the pressure of getting married before the age of 30. And the reason for that is because after 30, women usually catch on. We catch on to the reality of marriage and motherhood, and we also recognize the glorified version that was sold to us our entire lives. For example, all the princess movies that we grew up on, the fact that most women's milestones are not celebrated at large scale unless they are related to marriage and motherhood. And this idea that older women are single simply because they are on track to be cat ladies or because all the good guys are taken is not only wrong, but it's also another scare tactic to get younger women to settle for the wrong relationships. I am in my early 30s, and I'm going to be honest and tell you the truth right now. The reason why it is harder yet simultaneously easier to date after your 20s is because as you age, you generally become wiser. You are more grounded in yourself. You are also more established in your career, which means that you are more financially stable, and you're also more clear on the things that you want for your life and also the traits that you are looking for in a partner. There is truly no rush, and you can never be late to the timeline of your own life.
Every young woman's goal is to meet someone. They're all like, I want to meet someone, I'm going to meet a guy. I hear it all the time. And every 50 plus woman that I know is like, oh my God, if I ever got divorced, I'd never get married again. Or like, oh my God, I got married too early. I was in such a rush. That's the same story every time. And somehow these two ages aren't speaking to each other. I don't know if mothers are really able to convey that properly to their daughters, but they have to be, because Harrison Bucker's speech was basically telling women that their only purpose is to like walk into life, try to find someone to support you and to cook and clean. And being a homemaker is a wonderful, wonderful, difficult job, but it's not a terrible idea to have your own skill set and your own power and your own career so you can make your own decisions, so you don't feel like you have to grab onto someone to support you. And a lot of young girls are pre-wed. They just want to meet someone to take care of them. But then 20, 30 years later, they're like, wait a second, what the hell was I rushing for? I could have been having fun for so much longer. Because once you get into your late 30s, 40s, 50s, you're in the responsibility train. Like everything's about something you have to do, something that is an obligation, somewhere you have to go. You're exhausted. It's not that cute. You're wearing sex wrecker bras, and you sit there and think, what the hell are all these young girls rushing for? They just have to understand there's no rush. Be alone, be happy, be social, be free, be a soaring eagle at any age, frankly.
Bethany and that other lady have a very good point. Like, the older women are completely over men, and the younger women can't get enough. And it's like those two generations are not talking. The older generation isn't talking enough. The younger generation isn't listening enough. And life is too short for every generation to repeat the same cycles. We're supposed to be evolving. So, I think a lot of women also are taught to get married young, like she said, because when they're 30, they know that it's all smoke and mirrors. Like, it's not all that's cracked up to be. They see it for what it is. But if they get you trapped before then, it's too late.
I would say everyone has a tendency to just look towards marriage and think like marriage is just where I need to get to. I just need to be married. I just need to be married. Marriage is much more of a serious and heavy thing than a lot of people think. And so marriage isn't something that you should take lightly or that you should rush into. And then once you get married, prayerfully, you're married for the rest of your life. And so you shouldn't rush this stage. Because if you're married for like 50, 60, 70 years, but you like dated for like 1 year, that's so small compared to like the lifelong commitment that you have with your partner. You want to make sure that when you're in this stage, when you're dating, that you're doing it well, that you're not rushing through it. And they're like, I just want to get married.
Yeah.
I just want to get married. Let's just move in together. No, you're rushing the setup to something that could be so beautiful and lifelong. You don't want to rush something that will last that long.
I literally just got divorced. I'm done. I don't ever have to see him again. That was so hard. That was so painful. I couldn't look at him. I couldn't say hi. I couldn't say bye. I just walked away. The person that I've loved the most in this entire world. The person I loved most in this entire world, That was it. That's how the story ends.
Just because you see everyone on your TikTok getting married young, all you Muslims, young Muslims, doesn't mean that you're in a position to get married young. I understand everyone wants to get married, everyone has that dream of getting married young, having kids and whatnot, and it's a beautiful thing, of course. But half of you guys aren't even ready to get married. You guys think marriage is just, oh yeah, you're gonna be a halal boyfriend, girlfriend. No, it's not like that. You gotta be making sure you're mature enough to get married. You gotta be making sure you're providing for your wife. If you're a man, you gotta be able to be by your husband if you're a woman. And promise you, a lot of people think they're ready for marriage, but they're not. And when you start obsessing that, oh, I want to get married, stop obsessing about it. It's going to happen in its own time. And as a young person, are you even mature enough to be married and be emotionally available to each other, emotionally independent for each other? There's a lot of things that come into it. Are you even able to take care of each other? Now, of course, it's a beautiful thing to get married, and I encourage you, if you're with someone and have the intentions to get married young, but make sure you are ready. Don't jump into something, because it can either be the best thing for you or it will ruin your life.
Mistake of getting married at 21 years old, and then I was divorced by 29, And then I remarried my now husband when I was 32, almost 33. So I've learned a few things about being a young bride, and I want to tell you my takeaway. And I was inspired to share this because I saw a clip from Caroline Bodino, I think I'm saying her last name right, her podcast, and she basically was saying that she wants to urge young women to stop rushing into marriage, and I could not agree more, and here's why. My plain and simple reason for not getting married young is that you don't know yourself in your 20s. You need your 20s, girls, to really get to know yourself before you can commit yourself to somebody else. Okay, I had to come inside because it's getting way too loud out there with the bugs, but let's continue. So not only do you need to know yourself, but you need to establish yourself so that you can stand on your own 2 feet and take care of yourself financially, emotionally, heal yourself, get rid of any childhood wounds you may have. And that way you're not looking for this person to save you, complete you. Like, you're your own whole person. There's no such thing as needing a partner in life to be your other half. Like, none of us are halves, okay? We're all whole people. So really get on your own 2 feet and be independent, because there's freedom with independence. And if you get into a relationship without independence, I'm telling you, it's a scary place to be, because then you're not going to make the best decisions for yourself if you feel like you can't leave a relationship because you can't afford to financially or emotionally. It's scary. Like, you need to be on your own 2 feet and be a whole, complete, happy person.
Talking about not rushing to get married, and this is like the best advice ever. Like, I got married at 35. I think it was the perfect age. Like, I partied hard in my 20s, and when I hear people getting married at like 21, 22, I'm like, why?
That's another thing that society has like always pushed on people, and a lot of people have just started to believe it, and that's the, oh, they complete me, they're my better half. Like the lady said, you should be a whole person. You should already have all of your necessities, all of your resources should be there. You should be getting married because you want to, not because you need to. Starting with lack already puts you in the hole, so you're already in a survival standpoint. You should be two whole people getting together and enjoying in a wholesome way. It should not be, oh, I had a hole here and they were able to patch it up for me. Like they're my patch, automatically makes them a crutch, whether you consciously realize it or not. And when you're so young, you've never even had to be on your own to know what you lack, you know? So that's a great point that she made. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. I really look forward to hearing what y'all have to say in the comments. Let me know if this was you. Like, if you got married before 25 and had an epiphany and now you're divorced, or if you could just look back on your exes and be like, thank God I did not marry him. Thank God we did not have no babies. Thank God I'm free. Let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.